Hello, I'm Emma Meyer. This is my second discussion board for the Lifespan Development class. Question 1 asks, considering Chapter 2 and 3 of the textbook, explain Vygotsky's concepts of the zone of proximal development and scaffolding. Give examples that apply to teachers. So in the textbook, Vygotsky explains the concept of the zone of proximal development as activities that a child cannot yet complete, but with the help of others can. So the zone of proximal development is just something that's a little bit outside of the reach of the child. They maybe have some skills in it, but they wouldn't be able to complete it by themselves. But with scaffolding, so that's the help of teachers and outside forces that are more adept at being able to do it and have more of the skills, they should be able to complete it. So this will help the child to pick up like new mental strategies and like increase their competency. And over time, the adult should be able to step back and give the child more responsibility in completing this. And this really promotes like learning for the child and helps them to better grasp how to complete a situation that was once too hard for them. So as a teacher, I'm going to be a Spanish teacher. I can apply this through how I teach new lessons and vocabulary in my class. So if I'm teaching new vocabulary, let's say about the body, I could start with just slowly introducing a word, for example, the word mouth, which is boca in Spanish. So I could just, and whenever I'm speaking in English, I could replace the word mouth with boca, and then I could like slowly incorporate that more and more into speaking in Spanish using context clues. Another thing that Spanish teachers will do, they'll use gestures. So if I say boca, what that is, because I'm pointing to my mouth. And just by slowly taking away all these external like descriptors that will help them to understand it, they will be able to memorize it easier. And so like over time, I'll get rid of these context clues, get rid of maybe other words that are in English that are kind of pointing out the definition of it until my students can use the word by itself and fully grasp the concept of the word boca. The second question is, how can you support early language development? List at least 3 strategies and explain why you chose these strategies. So this was found on page 178. Some of the ones that I felt were the most important was reading, talking, and playing. So overall, reading is just so important for language development in children. It exposes them to all sorts of new vocabulary and grammar and communication skills. It also just really like plants the seed of reading in them, and so they'll grow up to want to be readers and to want to learn more and more. And this just really helps them to develop a strong foundation of language at a young age. Next up, talking to young infants, just all the time, always describing anything, always talking to them, even whenever they're really little and they can't understand you yet. This just really helps them to pick up language from a young age and to be able to communicate with each other, and it also helps with greater academic success once they get into school and encourages them to talk with themselves and to try new sounds and new ways of communicating with the world. And thirdly, I put playing. Playing is just so important for young children. Playing games like make believe with them and just like socializing with them and having them interact with yourself, other adults, and other children will just really help them to develop social skills and communication skills. It can help them to develop like the back and forth understanding of how human language works. I say something and then they say something, and just really understanding how to converse overall. And also it just really encourages their imagination, which is so important. And imagination also just contributes to their understanding of language as well, so they can come up with their own new sentences, their own new view of the world that they can share with others. Okay, the third question is, what is meant by goodness of fit in relation to temperament? How might a poor fit negatively impact a child's development at home and at school? So goodness of fit was like kind of founded by Thomas and Chess in 1977. So they proposed this model, and it talks about how The temperament and environment can really affect how a child develops. So if a parent's parenting strategies are not compatible with the learning style and behaviors of the child, then that child is not going to be able to learn how to behave properly, and they are just going to rebel more and more until eventually the parent gives in, and then they will be not learning anything, and their temperament is just going to get worse and worse. So a good fit would be whenever a child's learning and behavioral model really fits with how the parent is parenting them. So they are able to regulate their emotions, and they can the parent is sensitive to the needs of the child and able to support them in a way that works with the child, and there's clear expectations, and the child is really just able to learn and grow from the way that the parent is parenting them. And this really helps them to have good emotional regulation and being able to socialize with others. A bad fit, however, is really going to negatively affect them. The child is just going to rebel against how the parent is parenting them, and it could be other adults in their lives or caregivers in their lives other than parents. It could be a teacher as well. Overall, it's just not going to allow the child to develop properly and know what is acceptable behavior or not. And the fourth question is, why are healthy early attachments important? Discuss all videos and implications below. Also explain how teachers can support social and emotional development in a young age. What can be done to encourage healthy attachment, trust, autonomy, and early empathy? Cite resources. So overall, a healthy attachment style is really important because it establishes a healthy relationship between the caregiver, for example, the mother, most primarily in today's society, and it just helps them establish a healthy relationship between that mother and child, and allows the child to feel secure and have someone who they can turn to whenever they are scared or upset. The first video shows how whenever the mother leaves the room and leaves her child to cry all by themselves, it shows how for one of the first children, it shows how it's a healthy attachment style, because whenever the mother returned, the child was able to regulate their emotions and continue with a happy temperament and continue playing. However, with some of the other children who had unhealthy attachment styles, it really shows through how even whenever the mother came back, the child was not able to stop crying. They were not able to console themselves, even though the problem, what they were crying about, was their mother was gone. Even whenever that problem was solved and the mother returned, they still could not get past the negative emotions that were felt during that time. The second two videos about the pit of despair, about the little monkey, that video was really sad. The little monkey who didn't have an actual parent, it was given a wire mother, just a wire figure that held the bottle, and then also a cloth mother, which was the same thing but just covered in a soft cloth. These really show the importance of a warm and nurturing caregiver. One might think that all you need for life is food, shelter, and water, but this clearly is not true, at least for any sort of healthy and happy development. This can be seen through the monkey who continually retreats to the cloth mother, who whenever the monkey is scared or simply looking for comfort, despite the fact that it's the wire mother who actually gives food and is sustaining the life of the monkey. And then this also shows how attachment goes beyond just who is providing for it. So even if a mother is the one who is providing food, somebody else in a child's life, perhaps the father who is giving love and attention to the child, could be the one who the child attaches to. And then for the last video, the still face video, this shows the importance of receptive and nurturing interactions in order to support a healthy attachment style. In the video, whenever it starts out with the mother interacting with and responding to the child is perfectly happy and doesn't have anything wrong. But once the mother stops responding and just stares blankly at the child begins to cry. And this really shows how that only from like the mother's interest and acknowledgement and support and consoling of the child is that the child can go back to healthy temperament and return to a healthy attachment style. In the textbook on page 199, it describes like the four main influences for like a secure attachment style. It says 1, early availability of a consistent caregiver. 2, quality of caregiver. 3, the baby's characteristics. And 4, family context, including parents' internal working models. So overall, just healthy early attachments are so important for a child to be able to regulate their emotions and relationships. And as a teacher, we can really like do this by having clear communication and clear support in the classroom, by acknowledging the needs of all of our children and really giving them the support that they need, and by creating like opportunities for children to work and play together and to be able to interact and realize that kids are not just work machines, that they have needs and emotions and wants, and that really just like seeing each child as a child and really like showing empathy and promoting empathy in the classroom overall. Thank you.